My name is Oluwatoyin Anu, and I'm the convener of the Shame Free Tribe. And this is Mask Off with Shame Free Tribe. So come on with us, and if you have not liked or subscribed, do that now. What are you waiting for? So, my name is Oluwatoyin, and I'm your host on today's edition of Mask Off with the Shame Free Tribe. And here with me, I have Mr. and Mrs. Nduka. So I'll let them introduce themselves one before the other. So ladies first, right?
Yeah, sure. Ladies first.
Yes, Mom.
I'm Mrs. Nduka.
Okay, you're welcome. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a guidance counselor by profession, and I'm also an educationist.
Wow. So one thing I know about her is she's been working with teenagers for as long as I can remember, and that's one reason why we have her here. So I'm sure she has a little bit of experience, or a wealth of experience, and lots of things to tell us today. So, sir, a little bit about yourself, sir.
Well, I'm Mr. Nduka, and I'm a minister of the gospel and also an educationist.
So here we have two educationists, and I'm sure they're here to discuss on the subject of rape, which is a very interesting topic because now I'm going to give us a little bit of background. At the Shame Free Tribe, what we actually do is try to address some issues concerning some things going on in society and try to address it and put a stop to it as much as we can, one person at a time. And we talked about the subject of rape and we said, okay, what's this rape? How's it going? It seems to be deteriorating. The situation seems to be going worse. And then we created a survey and we sent it out, and we got lots of interesting responses. And some of those responses are what we're going to be analyzing today and coming to a conclusion at the end of the day, trying to enlighten people what exactly the meaning of rape is and what it entails and what we should do and all of those things. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is, because one thing we noticed was that some people did not understand what rape means or the difference between rape, sexual abuse, sexual violence, sexual assault, sexual harassment. They were just kind of ambiguous. Sometimes I say English is hard for them. That's how it was. And we were like, okay, how can we get people to know the differences between these things? So now I'm going to be starting with you, sir. What exactly is the concept of, all of these things I mentioned, sexual abuse, sexual violence, sexual assault, sexual harassment, and then rape? Like, is there a category for all of them, or they're just different things with different definitions, or they can be juxtaposed, or probably, maybe we can use one word for another. So what do you think about this subject?
Well, I think starting with probably if there's a name for all, I think we can call them all illicit sex. And then when we're talking about sexual abuse, we are talking about getting to have a sexual relationship with a minor. Abuse have to do strictly with minors. Yeah, so. But then in sexual harassment, we are talking about any move, towards the opposite sex to induce a sexual urge without the consent of the victim. Whereas the sexual assault, which in itself is a criminal offense, like the sexual harassment is actually a civil offense. So the sexual assault got to do with more of forcefully, imposing yourself on another person, trying to arouse the person sexually. But one thing that is common with all of these things is that they are without the consent of the victim. Then, of course, rape can only say to have taken place when there is an intercourse. But in sexual harassment, in sexual assault, there may not have to be an intercourse.
So by intercourse, you mean maybe penile penetration or penetration with an object or something like that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ma, what's your take on this issue, on this subject matter?
Okay, I can just say that all of those terms, whether sexual harassment, whether sexual abuse, whether sexual assault, all of them are without the consent of the victim. All right? So, and we know that rape itself is as old as man. It has been. Even from beginning of time in the book of Genesis, you saw rape where it happened. Until date, it has always been. So the bottom line I will just state now is that it is without the consent of the victim.
Okay, so from what you said, it means that it has been an older and something that continues to happen. Does it mean that there is no solution to this matter?
No, one cannot say there is no solution to the issue of rape or issue of assault to people, to victims. There is solution. I think we are going to look at it one after the other. I think we have to look at the people that perpetrate these acts. Okay, what are the underlying reasons? Why do they do that? What are the reasons why they do it?
Beautiful. So I like the fact that we started talking about causes, because that's like the next thing on the agenda for us to talk about. So now we're going to be talking about the causes of rape. Personally, I would say that the number one cause of rape is a rapist. That's what I usually always say. Don't tell me it's indecent dressing. Don't tell me it was somebody walking dark of the night. Don't tell me it was somebody watching one. The one number one cause, there won't be rape without a rapist. But then I'm sure there are various ideas concerning that. So what would be, if you had to choose one leading cause of rape, what would that be for you, sir?
Yeah, well, you just said something now. You said for you, the number one cause of rape is rapist. But then the question should be asked, what makes one a rapist?
Okay.
What makes one a rapist? So I think, especially in this part of the world, it goes as far as from the upbringing of the child. You know, there's this mentality of African man, which we try and, either consciously or unconsciously, inculcate in the children. The male child is meant to believe that he is pure. So, and meant to see the female child either as being inferior or as being a property. And once a man grows up with this, idea, he sees a woman as a property, something you can use as will. And as such, the consent of the woman to them is not needed, even when sex is concerned.
Wow.
And that's what brings about rape, majorly, primarily.
Okay, that means from your definition now, you consider bad parenting as one of the leading causes.
Oh, sure.
And then you talked about, men seeing women as objects of rape. Now we've had cases, of course, about over 80-something% of those who survey talked about the possibility of men being raped. So what would you have to say about that? Because you talked about men seeing women as sexual objects, and being superior. So does it mean that do you also believe that men can be raped?
Oh, sure, men can be raped. And excuse me, going also in the line of what I said earlier, when you look at most cases where men is raped, it is most times an act of revenge. Just like victims of rape, the female victim of rape, their attitude towards their male counterpart is generalized the same man or men as something they want to retaliate what will happen to them. So when women do rape men, it could be, and mostly it is because they want to say, okay, what do you think, you have the right to do to the men? I want to show you that what a man can do, women can do better.
Wow, this is deep. This is really deep. So, ma'am, what would be your leading cause of rape? Because I know you would have a different perspective from that.
Sure. Although what you said is an important part of it, but then I think peers is part of it.
Pressure.
Yes, and what they see and they hear and they interact with their peers, with their friends, can also motivate them to go out there to rape. If you don't rape, if you are only waiting for when a woman gives consent, it means you are not man enough. You understand? So this one, a friend will just come out to say that I have slept with this one, I have slept with this one, and you are still waiting for someone that you will tell, come and be my girlfriend, and the person will consent before you will have a carnal knowledge of the person. You see? And they will tell you that what you want to get, you go after it. So for you to prove that you are man enough, you have to go after what you've seen, what you needed. All right? So that makes people to go out. And when they have gone out once, it becomes almost impossible to hold them back.
Okay, then we have it. Two leading causes: peer pressure, and then we have bad parenting.
But excuse me, I think there's also another point. Although there are many points that we can look at, but then we're not talking about the origin of rape now, but we're talking about things that can cause or encourage this rape. You see, in a society where there is no defined punishment for rapists, or maybe where the punishment is so mild, you can also encourage other people to go into it.
Okay. Actually, I like the point you just raised, because I've had to sit down and think, okay, what does the law say about this? What are the punishments? What's the threshold? Like, where can you get to and you just know that you are gone for this thing you are doing? You're just gone for. Like, what's the limit to it? And then I saw, of course, you said that we heard, like you said earlier, that there are some are civil offenses, some are criminal offenses, and of course, these things have different punishments attached to them. So now all of these things, I think the highest I saw was 7 years in prison, which for me was like, it's too small. What's all this? So I'm not going to have us talk about, towards the end, we're going to talk about the justifiable punishment for a rapist. But for now, I'd like us to go into another important issue that struck us when we were consulting survey was the subject of marital rape. Now, one singular question I'm going to ask is, do we believe rape can happen between two married people? Adults, of course. Ma, I'd like to hear from you.
No.
Point blank. No. So two married people, no rape. So, Sal, what would you say about that?
Can rape happen between married couples? To me, the question shouldn't be, can it happen? I think it should be more of, what does it happen? Because when we look at rape, what is rape? By the definition of rape, which is having a sexual intercourse with the opposite sex without their consent, then it can possibly happen in a marriage. There is a possibility of somebody say, it's married, it's legal, it's even God consented to it. But even in the Bible gives an example. It says that a woman or a couple, whether the man or the woman, there can be a time they may decide not to have sex, but with consent. And for that duration, everybody has to stay on his own. So if you can have consent, if you can consent not to abstain from sex for a particular period, then you need consent to get involved in it in marriage.
Okay, I think that was speaking to maybe when both of them are on a fast or
fasting. It may not be one of them, both of them, it can be one of them. But what I'm trying to establish here that consent is always given to abstain. Then if consent is given to abstain, why should not consent be given to get involved?
This is interesting. Okay, so now do we then say that a husband or a wife can be prosecuted for raping in this context, according to the definition we were doing earlier, can be prosecuted for raping his or her spouse? How do we say that?
When it comes to the issue of prosecution, it has to do with what the law of the country says. If the constitution does not have room for that, then of course it cannot do that. It has to do with what do the constitution say.
Okay, President, I don't think there's anything like that in the Nigerian constitution.
I don't think so.
Because the Bible doesn't give room for that. But it was just amazing how we saw that. But 82% of people said, yes, rape can happen in marriage. And the husband can be prosecuted. I'm like, wow, this is new.
But do you know what that means? That means that so many people are enduring. For them to say that, it means they have been enduring. It's just that nobody has given them a voice. Yeah, they can't come out. They believe if you come out, they'll ask you, are you not his wife? Are you not her husband? What are you talking about? But you can see within them that they have pain. That's why they say they should be prosecuted.
please don't marry someone that is because I don't know how else to do this, honestly. So now one other thing struck me just now. We also saw in the survey about media sexism, we saw about sexual enticement, we saw about pornography. These three things, is there any one that's like strikes you the most as a leading cause of rape?
Pornography.
Wow. So why? Like, what effects does it have on people that eventually make them rape others and then the effect to them as of
what they see actually motivate their actions. When they go online, social medias, and they watch a lot of things, you understand, that will kind of arouse their interest. They want to kind of practicalize what they have seen. You understand? So, and if there is nobody handy to do that, they have to look out for. All right? So you cannot as well be in form of getting it done on whoever that comes their way by way of rape.
Amen. So, sir, we have media sexism, sexual entitlement, and then pornography. Which one strikes the cause? Like, okay, this one is also one leading cause of rape.
To me, actually, I think all of them play. I can say they play equal roles. The only thing is, one of them may start it and the other one will finish it. Let's take, for instance, indecent dressing, which is a form of sexual harassment. Now, somebody sees somebody who is okay.
You said indecent dressing is a form of sexual harassment.
Oh, sure.
How, sir?
What is harassment? You know, it's threatening. You're threatening somebody sexually. I was discussing with some children in the senior secondary school, I think within this week, and we start talking, and they were talking about pantless, braless. That is the in thing now. You see young ladies moving without pants, without
my gender.
Yeah, sure. And you know, they are kind of intimidation. But then it can't do anything. It is in the broad daylight. It is in the street, crowded streets. And when one is so aroused in the broad daylight, and then later in the day, in the cool of evening, was able to corner one lady out there, they want to, you know, kind of unleash whatever, you know, kind of relax on that lady. And that's when rape occurs.
My sisters, please, let's stop the sexual harassment. We are talking to ourselves, please. Thank you. So that hit me hard because I never thought of, you know, sexual indecent dressing as a form of sexual harassment. Because some people feel I have my body, I can do whatever I like. It's my dressing, so why should anybody? If you feel like now, of course there are cases of people who are even on hijab. This hijab is also getting it, but the fact that now we're bringing to light the fact that indecent dressing is also a form of sexual harassment, which will then probably spur some kind of, you know, mental or psychological disorder that would then lead to, you know, wanting to rape your victim or take it out on your victim. Let's watch it. So also we have the effects of rape, and I like us to be very, very straight to the point on this because, you know, during the week I had someone reach out to me and said this particular one wasn't sure of whether or not he was raped, but this thing had happened like years back, I think about 2 years back, and she was like, she had some guy she was liking. I think what you just said actually must have probably led to it. She probably was already flaunting some kind of, you know, vibe. Since you already like the guy now, you want to, you know, show off some also enticing kind of vibe. And a secondary school student, I think she was about 16 at that time, and she was like, she already liked the guy. So when the guy gave into her, you know, moves, she felt, why not? And then they did everything aside penetration. And then at a point, the guy said, okay, I want to go in. And she was like, no, I don't want to do it now. I'm not ready. I'm still a virgin and all of that and that. And the guy said, not now that I'm already over and above. So this thing has to go off, or I don't know what's going to happen. And then he forcefully had a way with her and told her, if you tell your mom, I'm going to kill you, because apparently he was probably employed in her mom's business, and there was this connection some way somehow, and she also knew that if she mentioned it to her mom, there was going to be trouble. She loved the guy, not the quote. Yeah, she loved the guy, and she felt like no. If I don't want to put this guy in trouble, even though I feel bad about what has happened and all of that, so she kept the story to herself. And this thing has been eating out for the past 2 years, until she reached out to us at the Shame Free Tribe, and she was like, oh, this and this is what has happened. First question she asked was, can she still call that rape? Honestly, I didn't have answers for her, because I was like, trouble they sleep, younger go wake up. What are you looking for? So at that point, I didn't have responses for her, but I could feel her pain. She felt used and dumped and all of that. Now, she was probably very naive, underaged, and even though 16 is no longer very underaged and naive, but I know you know what I mean. So now in this situation, we see the effect of the rape on her. Now she's been wild sexually. She's just been everywhere, trying to just forget the pain, tried not to have anything to do with guys, because she feels guys are just a piece of opportunist, and you get. And she's like, I'd rather have it with myself, masturbate, or have it with ladies. So you see, it's a gradual, everything is just graduating from one level of trouble. It's deteriorating from one level of trouble to another. So now in this situation, what do you see as one of the leading effects of rape? I don't know, probably in your years of experience with teenagers and children and all of that, if you've seen any one of them that's been like that, what effect does it have on probably their academics, their social life, their spiritual life, and all of that?
A lot of negative impacts on them. Academically, some of them that are victims of rape, you see them withdrawn. They are always withdrawn to their shells. They hardly speak with anyone. They don't like speaking out. They don't like talking. I think as a result of that if one is a victim of rape, one thing that happens is that they don't like to talk. They don't like to speak. They don't like saying anything that has to do with it. They try to bury the pain within them. They don't like to talk anything around it. But then they do take some decisions within themselves. Of course, they won't get the consent of any other person or the input of any other person as regards the decisions they take, because they won't share what is their innermost feeling with anyone. So you now see that what we see is that they are withdrawn, they don't participate, and it also affects the academic performance in school. Then when you talk of spiritually, morally, most people that are victims of rape, they are a kind of on a revenge mission. They are sometimes they will be like, I will continue, you understand, what they have done to me, I will also make sure that I do it to another. And as they are on that, it's not that they are looking for sensual satisfaction. No, whether they are satisfied or not satisfied, that is not the bottom line. What they actually want to do is for a person to feel the pain they felt at one time in their life.
Wow, this point you just made me remember a particular lady. That was sometime last year. She reached out and I gave her a copy of my book to read, and she read it. Because I made sure that we read through it together. From the first chapter, I told her one chapter per day, 7 chapters in the book. So at the end of 1 week, it should be done and we should be discussing it. And she said, okay. At the end of the whole thing, I said, is there anything you want to share? I feel like there's something you really want to share. And she said, she feels bad for something. I said, what? She said she used to rape children when she was a teenager. this lady should be in her 20s, very early 20s. And she said when she was a teenager, say 16, 15, she used to rape or, penetrate and have carnal knowledge of children within the ages of 6, 7, 8 years max. 5, 6, 7 years. And I'm like, and she was a lady, of course, and she used to do that to boys. So now imagine the ripple effect. Now, I asked her, what made you start that? She said the same was done to her. And she decided that let's continue the cycle. And then ever since then, of course, there was no longer any kids to take out the pressure on and all of that. She resorted to masturbation, and she was a serial masturbator and a serial sex addict. She has to just have sex anyway she wants to. She can deem fit or find an opportunity to. And at that point, I was like, okay, you need help. Are you willing to get help? Because I feel like most times, most of these victims do not realize that they have that problem, and that problem emanated from whatever they've experienced. I feel like if she didn't read that book, or she didn't have somebody talk to her and tell her, oh, this and that, you are feeling like this because of this pain you are being through, and then opens up their mind to, oh, this is why I'm like this. Some of them don't even know why they are like that. So I then talked to her and spoke to her, and God, of course, took control. And one of the nights after we prayed, she then called 10 minutes later and said, guess what, sis? I said, what's that? She said, I just finished masturbation. Okay, it's fine, calm down. It's a process. And I just said, that's what it is. That's what it's about at the children's track. Just calm down. It's a process. Don't worry, you overcome this. And some people feel like, oh, the process means that when they say, oh, yeah, you heal, that now means that you just automatically stop feeling that, having those feelings, and everything just comes back to normal. However you choose to bench or release your pain, so long as it doesn't mean killing somebody else, please don't go and kill them. Seek help, seek therapy as much as you can. If possible, get rehabilitated, but please try not to harm any other person. It has happened. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. The best thing we can now do about it is harness the pain and then think about, oh, how can I turn this into an advantage for me? How can I make this turn this in my favor rather than make it pull me down? So having said that, now we're going to be we've talked about the effects. Yes, I think you have not mentioned, please mention one effect that you see that it has had over time.
Well, let me just start by saying, when you are starting narrating the story, you spoke about the young girl, I suppose around 16, with a boyfriend, and at the point of at the point of no return, the young lady was saying, no. The young boy said, no, I can't stop here. Now, actually, if you called that rape, he said he didn't really answer her. But the truth remains that it is rape. It is rape. No matter at the point, the caressing, the kissing, whatever, if at any point either party says, no, I don't want, and the other party continues, it is rape. Now, that's the definition of rape. So that is the way it is. And secondly is when you say some of these victims don't even know they have this problem. I don't think so. I believe every victim knows it has a problem, but oftentimes they kind of think that the society will not understand them. And that thought that the society will not understand me will make them keep to themselves. They become withdrawn.
So in issues like this, what should the society, when you first see a victim, oh, you've just been raped, what should be the first question or the first thing to say to that victim? What should the society do? Because I've heard a lot of things. Some will say, what were you wearing? Some will say, where were you? What did you go and do there? All those very, very, I don't want to call them foolish questions, but they are foolish questions.
They are indeed foolish questions. And the truth is that such questions should not be asked. what a lady is wearing or what a man is wearing. Because oftentimes we look at only ladies. By the time the man starts to show his what do you call it, the cyst bites and the broad chest and
whatever, brothers like to wear
up
and down, protecting us.
It can also be a form of sexual harassment. So, but what anybody is wearing shouldn't be an excuse for that person to be raped. But I think to crop this thing, we really need to get from the upbringing of a child. Every male child should be taught to value the female. He must learn to have respect for the female child. And vice versa. But I'm emphasizing on the male child because in this part of the world, women are mostly, I want to believe, I don't have a survivor, I want to believe about 95% or even more of the victims are women, are the female.
Yeah.
So we need to train up the male child to have respect for the woman. Every man should understand that shouldn't be any sexual intercourse, no sexual advances without consent. That shouldn't be at all. And again, for the young people, I can remember some years ago, that was as a vitimeter, we were talking about something like this. I used to give kind of an example. I don't know, we know the food that's called cashew,
yeah,
or even pineapple at least. These are wonderful fruits, they are very rich in vitamins and they're also delicious. But you see, pineapple is very delicious when it is ripe. If you take a pineapple that is not mature, that is not ripe, and you try to eat it, it becomes corrosive. They are very high in acid, they are acidic. So, and it can damage the mouth. And more, the worst of it is even cashew. But when they arrive and you eat it, you enjoy it, and it nourishes your body. And so also we should see sex outside consent. I don't want to put it religious. I would have said outside marriage. But sex outside consent is just like eating unripe cashew. No, because the truth is that it's not only the victims that are traumatized. Even the perpetrators of these things, the conscious, at least they may not start to have it immediately. But as they start to grow, as they become more civilized, they begin to remember, this is so and so thing to so and so person. They also have pain. And some of them, they even want to make right the wrong, but the victim is nowhere to be found. And they live with the pain, with that condemnation. I think the first thing I should say to the victim is that it's not the end of the life. There's something you can do. You just need to be encouraged. You need to understand that this is what the perpetrator of this act wants you to be. This is how he wants you to feel. And if you continue to feel the way others are feeling, he or she will be happy that they have achieved his goal. So you have to do something to show him or her that he has failed in his plan. You have to buckle up. You have to understand that this is not the end of your life. You can still be what you want to be. And that's what will put the greatest shame on the perpetrator of that case.
That's a very huge inspiration and motivation, because I also had a classmate who went through the same issue. I had a friend like that, and then she harnessed her pain so much that she's blessing lives today. And at some point I'm like, God, how do you do this? How do you do this? So ma'am, what's the first thing you would say to a rape victim?
At first I have to empathize with the fellow. I will give the person a shoulder to lean on. And going by my profession as a counselor, I will encourage the person to speak to me. You understand? So, because the first thing should be that the person should speak. If the person has not spoken, the person is burning inside. So the fellow has to speak. So I have to give that confidence. Of course, our motto in counseling is that we keep secret. So I have to tell the person that whatever you are saying stays between us. So the conflict, yes, is the key. Because if the person just feels that I am not safe, the person won't talk, because of that stigma. You understand? Everybody look at me that they have raped me and nothing is remaining. Then I will have to now let her or him or her know that that is not the end. He still have a whole world ahead. You understand? You just have to overcome. It's not going to be something, a session has to begin. You understand? You begin to help the person through the healing process. You understand? But you just have to let that person know it is not the end of the world. It's not the first person. Then cite examples of people that have overcome the something, yes, the shame involved with rape.
Wow, thank you very much. And that's it on that part. So when you see a rape victim or somebody crying and say, I've just been raped, it's not to start asking jam questions. What were you wearing? Where did you go? Did they call you? Or the first thing, even every normal human being feels like, the first thing should be, how do you feel? Okay, come. Do you want to cry? Let it out. I tell people a lot of times that cry. The way I tell people to cry, they feel like young lady, are you possessed? How do you tell me to? I say cry because
it eases the pain.
Eases the pain. So if you want to cry, please cry. Don't let anybody tell you stop crying. It's not just that. Cry. Please cry. If you need my voice to join you and cry, please, I will join you and scream. So cry the cry very well. And then beyond that, talk. If you have ever been through it, I'm sorry for your pain, but please, you can pull out of it and you can pull out stronger than you can ever.
We always refer to the female as the victim. We always talk about them. But the male, I think what happens is that male victims don't speak up. They don't talk because how will, people don't even understand them. What do you mean that you were raped? As someone like me, it took time before I could look at it and of course read about it to understand that men can also be raped. It will look like, what do you really mean? So
don't you have power?
Yes.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes. So the kind of way the society feels or sees it will not even allow them to come out in the first instance. So even if they want to collect a kind of a survey to know the percentage, it will not even be correct because men doesn't speak out. If those that can even speak out at all will be female when they are encouraged enough.
So they said, men, you people should sorrow, it's okay. Because honestly, the problem begins from keeping quiet, bottling up the emotions and all of that. So I think we've had a very, very fantastic time and we're rounding up now. So now the rapist, just in 1 minute, tell us what you think should be the justifiable punishment for a rapist. Either male or female. Me, I have what's in my mind though, but let me not talk yet.
Yeah, when you talk about what is justifiable, you look at it from different ways. Are you looking at from the point of the victim alone? Or what about the perpetrator of the crime?
No, I mean
that
for
is
the rapist.
Yes, the rapist.
Like which punishment? Let's talk about what the law says. What punishment should be given to the rapist? Yes. Either is a female or a male.
Especially male.
Especially male.
Well, I think thank God Nigeria doesn't have prisons anymore. They have correctional centers. So I think they should be confined in a correctional center where they need to be corrected.
Okay, Ma, what's your take? What do you think is perfect ideal punishment?
When you mentioned that, I was just trying to be a Christian. I was just trying to kind of package myself very well. Because if I should come out raw,
Ma, please come out raw.
A rapist can be compared to a murderer. Yes, can be compared to a murderer. The way a murderer kills someone, that is how a rapist kills someone emotionally. Even psychologically. In fact, a rapist also they also kill people even completely. At least we've seen cases of people that rape and kill. You understand? So
rape to death.
Rape to death.
Rape child to death.
Yes. In fact, I remember 3 years or 3 months, a baby that was raped,
Wow.
and the private part was actually battered. In fact, if I should remember all these things, I will tell you that the judgment or the punishment for rapists is death.
Death by hanging.
In fact, I can still remember when someone was raped, a member of RCCG was raped in the church, that our GO has to come out and a kind of pronounce sentence on them. Yeah. That if anyone that tries it again will die. And I said amen to that.
I say amen again to that because
the truth is that the effect of raping is too bad. I'm sorry we are concluding now, but let me just maybe my concluding statement. I remember even before we got married, my wife was involved in a holistic approach, which is an arm of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. They go to protests and all those under bridges to talk to these people. And then if you get to talk to most of these commercial church workers in protests, most of them started being because they were raped.
Yes.
They were raped and I have to get back to my.
Yes. And some of them feel that there's nothing more to life.
Yes.
They have raped me, they have taken my honor, nothing again.
Their honor.
So yes.
On this note, we are going to end this, and this is my birthday. I said it with my picture. All rapists should be sentenced to castration for one.
Yes.
And for the ladies, you cut your hand with one. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode. This is the first episode of the Mask Off with the Shame-Free Tribe again. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you stay till this point, trust me, you're the real MVP. If you'd like to join our community, the link is in the comment section. If you also like to, reach out to us, we're going to be dropping the link in the caption below. If you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please, I beg you, like and subscribe and share. So thank you very much. Till I come your way next time, my name remains Oluwatoyin Anu, and keep the fire burning, keep the light, love and light. Bye.